When Joe Biden said he had never even spoken with son Hunter about his son's foreign business affairs, the opposite was true. And today, we all know it. You may recall that he said on CBS News in October of 2019, "I have never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters, because I know where I have to do my job, and that's it. And they have to make their own judgments." In August of 2019, he said, "I've never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period." Yeah, then he stated flatly to Fox News' Peter Doocy, "I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings." Well, millions of people believed those words when they voted for him, but according to a McLaughlin and Associates poll, 4.6% of Biden voters, easily enough to swing the election, said they wouldn't have voted for him for president if they had known about his family's business dealings with China. Social media has continued to hush that up, even when it meant censoring the New York Post, which broke the laptop story. It was labeled Russian disinformation. By the way, that's how you rig an election before any ballot has even been cast. Today, Biden is duly sworn in as President of the United States, and life has gone on for the son of the president, with the news of him selling 5 of his artworks the other day for $75,000 a pop to mysterious unnamed buyers. All I can tell you about the identities of the buyers is that they were not me. Art from a guy who was as qualified to be an artist as he was to be an executive of a Ukrainian energy company. Well, the New York Post has remained on the laptop story, however, with investigative reporter Miranda Devine scheduled to release her book on the grimy subject. Her book is called Laptop from Hell. It's going to come out in about a month, and Britain's Daily Mail is on it as well. They've just reported on more emails from Hunter's abandoned laptop that show much more financial intersectionality between Hunter's life and Joe's. These include exchanges with Eric Sharon, who is Hunter's business partner at consultancy from Rosemont Seneca, who also did his taxes. Sharon was quite plugged into then Vice President Joe Biden's affairs, more so it seems, than was the White House, even fielding offers for a book deal and managing the donation of his Senate papers to the University of Delaware. Typically, White House officials handle such donations, not outside business managers. According to the Daily Mail, Joe Biden and his son even shared bank accounts and paid each other's bills. Think about that. The way they shifted funds around each other kind of raises some questions about whether money from Hunter's dealings with both China and Russian-based businesses was sent to their joint accounts. Which, by the way, may I just point out, isn't it a little strange that a man who is about 50 years old is still sharing a bank account with his father? Strange. Well, that's why President Biden could be drawn into the FBI investigation of his son. As a former prosecutor and expert on money laundering and criminal tax law said to the Daily Mail, whatever transaction you're looking at, if there's a connection to a family member or a friend, sure, the answer is yes, they would be investigated. The Daily Mail report has much more detail on the nature of what the FBI might be looking at, and it's bad, including corruption, money laundering, and selling influence. John Cassera, a former U.S. intelligence officer and Treasury special agent who specialized in money laundering investigations, said that if Joe were not president, he'd probably be in prosecutors' crosshairs right now, along with his son. I'd put it this way, if he were not a Democrat president. Fox News senior analyst Brit Hume appeared with Tucker Carlson on Tuesday night to comment on this. And when asked by Carlson if we could be certain that Attorney General Merrick Garland will conduct a free and fair investigation into both men, Hume had just one word: no. The one thing that Merrick Garland has turned out to be, for all of his reputation as being a fine jurist and a man who deserved a seat on the Supreme Court, is that he appears to be as weak as water when it comes to upholding the independence of the Department of Justice and keeping the Justice Department out of politically motivated investigations. Hume hopes that if the New York Post comes out with another Hunter laptop expose, it will get so big that the mainstream media will not respond as disgracefully as they did last time with their move to just shut down the story. I don't think that hope is completely unfounded. He used the border story as an example of something that wasn't widely reported at first, but that finally has broken through because it's so big the mainstream media can't get away with ignoring it. The same thing could happen with this. Brit Hume also pointed out that a president's approval ratings are always a major factor in the midterm elections, and Biden's are in the dumpster, in part because of this. Of course, there are so many Joe Biden-caused catastrophes, it's hard to tell how much, if any, of the drop is because of Hunter. The way 2021 has been going, Democrats' outlook for 2022, especially in the House, is really bad, and it's quite possible they'll be swept out of both houses. I've never been much on the concept of early voting, but in this case, I almost wish we could vote today. Speaking of voting, I hope you will vote yourself in to subscribe to the channel and clicking the notification bell if you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment while you're doing it, and then join me tomorrow. We're going to have a live stream question and answer, and you can join in as we are going to be live from our theater in Nashville. Now, if you want more of my news analysis and commentary, you can sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com because it won't cost you a cent. In fact, you'll even gain some common sense. That's going to do it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.